People everywhere are starting to listen to him. He's going on French, British, Italian, Japanese television.
This is the wide world of Weingarten.
Wide World of Weingarten, Monday, May 9th, about 11:20 a.m. here in Los Angeles. It was a pretty nice weekend of sports besides the 18-game baseball slate on Sunday. Had the Kentucky Derby, a nice boxing UFC evening on Saturday, and a full weekend of basketball, NBA playoffs, and NHL stuff. What's it called? 76ers look like they might be alive in the series. I actually made a series bet on them against the Heat at plus 130. I don't bet a ton of NBA, but I thought I'd get in on that. I also bet them to win the championship, I think at 50-1 when they were down 2-0. That price has dropped quite a bit since then, but gotta get something on these playoffs. But yeah, overall it was a good weekend. There was some stuff I probably could have been more aggressive on that I wasn't. The Kentucky Derby was pretty fun. I lost $500 on it, which I consider a victory. I don't bet a ton of horse racing anymore. I actually don't bet any horse racing anymore outside of, extreme grade 1 stakes like the Kentucky Derby or maybe the Breeders' Cup. I used to bet horses, and I quickly learned that it was not worth my time, and my money was better off literally doing anything else. Literally anything else than betting on horses would have had a better return for me. But I do love horse racing. It's amazing. It's some of the most fun you can have. It's the cocaine of sports gambling. It just happens that, like I said, there's better uses of my time than betting horses every day. And I just, the more I paid attention to it, the more I just was disgusted by the trainers and everybody associated with it and how they actually treat the horses. And I really think the only way to end horse racing is to stop betting on it and stop supporting it with your money. So I don't support it with my money outside of the Kentucky Derby, because the Kentucky Derby is still amazing, and it's one of the most fun 2 minutes of gambling of the entire year. This year it was a combination of suicidal early fractions and a once-in-a-lifetime trip for Rich Strike, which cashed an 80-1 winner. I think what's the longest odds since 1913, before World War I even. So I have to go back an incredibly long amount of time to see such an upset in such a big race like this. But I watched the overhead view of the race probably 20 times on Sunday. If you've seen that video, it's going around social media, pretty easy to find. Rich Strike might have been 80-1 at post, but if there was live betting, he would have been 1,000-1 when he made his break. I think he was 17 horses back coming into the stretch run. And just quick breakdown of the race: was the fastest quarter mile in Derby history. Ran the first 2 furlongs at 21.78 seconds. Not even Secretariat himself could keep that pace over a mile and a quarter. The race melted down. Every horse close to the pace was up the track, and what's his name? I don't even remember his name. Rich Strike. Yeah, so unbelievable. I don't even remember the horse's name. But Rich Strike and Sonny Leone got the perfect ride on inside to the rail. The 2 front runners, Epicenter and whatever the other I don't even know the horse's name. Like I said, I don't pay much attention to horse racing anymore. The front runners basically just gassed each other down the stretch, and Rich Strike was able to get inside the rail and just had nobody in front of him. It was like, I watched that video like 20 times. You go back and look, he had wide open, clean air, as they would say in motor racing, but he had nobody in front of him. Just was able to crank up right there at the end when everyone was slowing down. And yeah, that's just kind of what happens when the pace breaks down. And the jockey from Belterra, just perfect ride. I think I could just say that was magnificent, the race. And I lost $500 on it, so I didn't even win anything on it. I could still appreciate a quality race like that every once in a while. That said, I look forward to the day that horse racing no longer exists as a sport, because they're all just terrible people. The trainers, everybody involved. It's just, and the lower you go on the tracks, it takes, very quickly from the graded stakes, the Kentucky Derby to turf paradise or whatever. You want to see what, how they really treat the horses. Go look at, what happens to the horses at turf paradise, or Golden Gate, or some of these smaller tracks. It's just shameful and disgusting, and I look forward to there being no horse racing anymore. But the Kentucky Derby was special, so I don't really know how to reconcile those two things very well. On to baseball. One of the things I want to talk about with something I'm seeing in the prop market, the home run market. Yes, no, will this player hit a home run? I'm noticing some incredibly low odds on, the top tier kind of guys, the guys you would expect: a Juan Soto, Byron Buxton, Ronald Acuna, Shohei Ohtani. Just to give a couple names, you can probably keep that list going. Mike Trout obviously is a guy. Aaron Judge, high name marquee players. If you look, especially some of these live betting engines that deal props, they'll have yes no home runs, and the no's will be like minus 350. I've seen probably even closer to minus 300 or 299. I think I've seen that number pop up on a Soto, Acuna, Mike Trout, whoever, the top tier guys like I mentioned. But with home runs being slightly depressed this year, and some credible allegations that this ball is different, it's still kind of too early to 100% say anything other than the anecdotal evidence from the pitchers, but it's definitely trending that way. And if you look at a day like today with the score is all, the total is all between 7.5 and 8.5, it would definitely indicate the market, at least at this point, believes that scoring and home runs are definitely down and being accounted for. But some of these home run numbers, I'm seeing no's like minus 300s, and I wouldn't recommend overlaying these big numbers. But if you were consistently betting, no home run on Ohtani, or Acuna or Juan Soto, excluding the trip to Coors recently, I think you'd generally be doing pretty well. Just looking at the cheap numbers, some of them are just so out of whack with what the numbers should be in this home run environment. And also, that similar thought on first innings recently. I know they could always be hit or miss, but in this current environment, I did notice the last couple days, surprising amount of no scores in games that I thought were probably coin flips, slightly leaning towards yes. And just to answer a couple questions about that, I would probably, me personally, I still play whatever first innings I see have value, and I tend to find a lot of value on the yeses and their numbers plays. So if they lost yesterday, that doesn't really affect me. It does annoy me sometimes. I'll be like, oh well, I lost 5 games yesterday. Do I really want to keep betting these? Yes, of course I want to bet them, because I know the numbers. I don't look at yesterday's numbers the same reason I don't look at how many of the last spins at a roulette table were black, or how many of the last spins at a roulette table were red. In fact, I'm not at a roulette table because I'm not an idiot, but I just play the numbers, and the numbers tell me to bet yes, I bet yes. If the numbers told me to bet no, I'd bet no. They don't happen to tell me to bet no. So first innings still good. I wouldn't worry about a couple days of losses, and I wouldn't really worry about the talk about the ball and differences. Still leans yes. Just a question of finding the best numbers every day. Rookie of the Year stuff. There's a ton to talk about in Rookie of the Year, starting with the 2 AAA pitchers who've pitched at least 20 innings, have a sub-2 FIP, and a strikeout rate over 25%. That would be Max Meyer and Grayson Rodriguez. If you've been listening, I've recommended betting on both of those guys. Meyer at 66-1 or 80-1 or 100-1. Rodriguez still available around 66-1, hasn't been called up yet. Meyer hasn't been called up yet either. I thought he might be called up this last weekend, especially on Saturday when he was projected or expected to start against Memphis in AAA, and he did not. But to my confusion, it was because it was a doubleheader and he was scheduled to start the second game. So he did, in fact, pitch 5 innings in the second game. It was mostly a maintenance start. He threw 5 innings, 91 pitches, gave up 3 hits, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, and earned a run. Wasn't going 100%, and he still gave up 3 hits, 3 walks. Only 3 hits, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, and an earned run. His promotion is imminent, and it's likely that his first start's going to be later this week on May 13th when the Marlins are at home. But Marlins being the Marlins, you can always see them pushing this back another week or two, trying to get the Super 2 deadline in order. I just expect at this point that there's really absolutely nothing keeping him down in AAA, and they're wasting those innings when he could be contributing to the Major League pitching staff. So his Max Meyer, that is, his promotion is imminent. It's just a question of if it's going to be this time through the rotation or possibly next. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the Royals O's score. To my left, I see it's at 6-1. The total was 7.5. Bases loaded here. Is this the top of the 9th or top of the 8th? Hold on. Top of the 8th, so it's probably going to be settled here, the total, one way or the other. But yeah, back to Rookie of the Year stuff. Max Meyer on his way up. Still a couple good numbers out there, though most of the longest long shot numbers are gone. If a pitcher in the NL is likely going to come up and win it, I think it's going to be him. Grayson Rodriguez, similar situation to Max Meyer. His promotion to Baltimore is imminent. I think it's going to coincide with Adley Rutschman being promoted. It wouldn't surprise me if they were both called up either at the same time or within a day of each other. I'd probably call them up at the same time, considering they're the future cornerstones of your franchise. Rutschman recently was just promoted to AAA, where I'm sure he will have a very brief stay, probably catch Rodriguez once, and then I wouldn't be surprised if they're both called up before the end of the month. Rutschman's still available, a high of 20-1 actually at FanDuel. I think that's a pretty good number. If you don't have Julio Rodriguez or tickets on any of the front runners, Jeremy Pena or anybody, definitely consider getting some Rutschman at 20-1. He's top tier prospect, and with guys like Spencer Torkelson not doing much right now, I think he's a guy to look at. And then Tristan Casas, he's also imminently going to be promoted to the Red Sox. The Red Sox currently in last place in the AL East. Bobby Dahlbeck is not going to have a starting job much longer, and there are still 60-1s available on Tristan Casas, who will come up. He'll play first base. He'll play DH. He'll replace Bobby Dahlbeck in the lineup. I definitely see that price dropping significantly, especially with Spencer Torkelson not doing anything right now. The time to add Tristan Casas is probably about right now before he gets promoted and that number starts to drop. Over in the National League, Seiya Suzuki, currently last 2 weeks, he's 6 for 47 with 1 run, 0 home runs, 2 RBIs, 17 strikeouts, 3 walks, and a 180 OBP. Those are not close to Rookie of the Year numbers, and they're definitely not Rookie of the Year numbers for somebody who should be minus 110 or minus 140 or whatever ridiculous number he's been juiced to at most of these sports books. I'd happily book this at plus money, plus 110, plus 120. Even slightly higher would be on the table with such a long season ahead of us and another wave of prospects who have yet to even be called up. I would absolutely be booking this number and writing more volume at plus money. I don't think there's enough liability on him to make me change my mind on that. But when you think about the guys who are still coming up, I mentioned Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez, both of those guys available, big numbers. Riley Green, he probably would have started the season on the Tigers. He has a broken foot. He could still come up. Definitely push past Torkelson, who is standing still right now. But the Tigers also one of the worst teams, if not the worst record in baseball. No, I'm sorry, the Reds have the worst record in baseball. I think I said the Tigers had the worst record, but it's absolutely the Reds with the worst record in baseball at the moment. Tigers might have the second worst. Hard to see Riley Green getting a lot of getting a lot of, being able to jump up in contention with, being on a bad team, being potentially the second rookie on that team. Max Meyer already mentioned, and Ryan Pepito, I think it's Pepois, Dodgers prospect pitcher. He's gotten off to a very strong start at AAA Oklahoma City this year, posting a 2.05 ERA, a 1.15 WHIP over 26.1 innings in 6 starts. He hasn't made his major league. He hasn't started. He hasn't been called up for the first time yet. But the Dodgers are going to have to consider a 6-man rotation in May because they're playing 31 games over the next 30 days, or they are. I think they're in day 3 of that stretch. But with such a large amount of games coming up and no off days, it would not surprise me if they went to a 6-man rotation. It would not surprise me if he's called up and gets his first major league start. His 2019 first round pick out of Butler. He pitched 101 innings between AA and AAA last year. For the Dodgers, he could easily come up and contribute over 100 innings at the major league level. His fastball is solid, but his changeup is what really sets him apart. Some scouts have even said his changeup is the best in the minor leagues. So Dodgers, rich get richer. They have another top-tier pitching prospect ready to join the rotation when needed. Back over in the American League, I mentioned Jeremy Pena. He has shot up to the top of the rookie rankings, not surprising, as the everyday shortstop of the Houston Astros. He leads all rookies in home runs and slugging. He's tied for first in RBIs, which I don't really care about RBIs, but they are a baseball card stat, so it's somewhat important. Among all American League shortstop, Pena is first in home runs, first in RBIs, and first in defensive WAR, so he's got a lot going for him. Then there's the new shooter this week. George Kirby got called up from AA Northwest Arkansas straight to Seattle. I saw his odds drop from 150 to 1 yesterday to 80 to 1. Now they've settled around 33 to 1 after a very good first outing. I absolutely would not buy Kirby at 33. I think among pitchers, Grayson Rodriguez is still a better value at double those odds. But Kirby, he's got a lot of things going for him. He was first-round pick, came up, started Sunday through 6 shutout innings, 4 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts on 81 pitches. Very good stuff. First Mariners pitcher in franchise history to throw 6+ scoreless innings in his first major league start. His main problem, though, is that his own teammate is Julio Rodriguez, who I still think is the front runner, and by when all is said and done, going to have the most impressive stats of all the rookie hitters, which is likely going to win him the Rookie of the Year over any of these pitchers. Kirby's going to have to be lights out to take the award or take the hype away from Julio and pass him. And Julio's quietly been heating up the past 2 weeks. He was on base 3 times Saturday night, first career triple. His 14 hits, 5 runs, a home run, 4 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, and a 345 OBP over the last 2 weeks. All very impressive numbers. Jeremy Pena, obviously, still seriously in consideration. No knocks on him or anything yet, but I do think Julio Rodriguez is still the guy I would much rather be backing, even at a low price compared to Jeremy Pena. Kirby made the jump straight from AA to Seattle. It makes me wonder if Jack Leiter of Texas could do something similar and skip AAA. A lot of teams with PCL affiliates know that they don't necessarily need to waste development innings on a guy at AAA, at PCL, where it's a high run scoring environment, poor pitching parks for the most part. Leiter had his best start of the season against Mariners AA affiliate this weekend, and he was actually scheduled to face George Kirby, only for Kirby to be scratched and promoted. Leiter threw 6 innings, gave up 2 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, 5 strikeouts, retired the last 15 batters he faced. I don't think Jack Leiter's promotion is imminent like a Max Meyer or a Grayson Rodriguez, but I do think we might see him closer to the second half of the season. The delay being that the Rangers are not contending, so they have no reason to be aggressive, and they can continue to allow him to develop a little longer at Frisco. No reason to push him to the major leagues just yet. Spencer Torkelson, I mentioned him earlier. His last 15 games, he's 4 for 36, 0 runs, 0 home runs, 0 RBIs, 4 walks, 200 OBP. Tigers have one of the worst records in baseball. I would definitely be short Spencer Torkelson if that was possible right now at 5-1 or 6-1. I would move him. I'd move him to 10-1 and try to ride some tickets on him against the exposure from some of these other guys that got hit early. But now is absolutely the time to move Torkelson higher, book him around 10-1, and cut the odds on Tristan Casas, who could easily come up and surpass his numbers without trying very hard. The MVP over in MVP land in the American League, Alex Cora said that the game that Shohei Ohtani pitched against the Red Sox Thursday is the best game he's seen pitched against his team since he became the manager in 2018. The Westgate finally dropped Ohtani's odds from 3-1 back to 3-1 from a high of 5-1. I don't know how he got up to 5-1. None of these prices have really made a lot of sense to me. But he does have competition. One of those guys being Byron Buxton, who's currently tied for the league lead in home runs again. Buxton now has 41 home runs in his last 110 games. Unfortunately, he was also diagnosed with a very low-level hip strain. Buxton will likely avoid the injured list for now, but as usual, he's a major injury risk and can't argue with his production, but the health is concerning, and it's really hard to see him playing a consistent schedule when every other week he's tweaking something or something's going wrong. He also doesn't pitch, so that's the main problem that I see at the moment. But like I said, over at the Westgate, they dropped Ohtani back 3-1 from a high of 5-1. He had a ninth inning, 2-out, 2 RBI double to tie the Angels game late on Sunday. Anthony Rendon followed that with a walk-off single. Ohtani isn't hitting home runs at the 2021 pace, but really nobody else is. So, the fact that he's improved as a pitcher and he's giving the Angels valuable at-bats, coming through with hits and stuff when the game's on the line, and pitching, spectacular games that opposing managers are calling the best games they've ever seen, he's still clearly the AL MVP frontrunner. And then there's Taylor Ward. I don't think any of us saw him being the Angels' best outfielder, Angels' best hitter, at least through 20 games or 25 games. So that's been a nice surprise for the Angels and I guess for fantasy players. But the focus is going to be on Ohtani. This is Ohtani's race, and everybody is trailing him. There are no long shots in the field. I think you can really look at the top 5-7 guys. The Trout, Judge, Franco, Vlad Guerrero, and Buxton tier are the only contenders to Ohtani. There's nobody coming from the back of this field to make a case in the American League. In the National League, Manny Machado leads the majors in hits, runs, average, OBP, and WAR. Westgate has dropped him as a 5-2 favorite in the market now. Arenado's second at 4-1. Soto 9-1. Nobody else under 10-1. Mookie Betts still 25-1 for some reason. I think that's way too high. You could check out his numbers. Last 2 weeks, he's been up there with just about everybody. Then there's Ronald Acuna, who hit 176, 3 for 17 with 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, and a 440 OPS his first 4 games back off the injured list. Past 5 games, he is now 7 for 19 for a 368 average, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 455 OBP, and a 1.244 OPS. So OPS over 1,000. Very impressive there. Acuna definitely deserves to be in the conversation, and even missing the first 20-25 games and sitting frequently as he still continues to make his way back to 100% from a torn ACL or whatever he had. He's definitely still one of the front runners for the most valuable player. He's one of the best players in baseball. Machado clearly the favorite at the moment. Gonna take a break real quick, then I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna run through Cy Young betting and see if we have any bets for later today. So stay tuned. Gonna take a quick break and I'll be right back. Welcome back. Second half of the show. Wanted to go through the Cy Young market. Some interesting stuff going on there. using the Tom Tango model, which is my preferred model for keeping track of Cy Young stuff during the season. The Tom Tango model has Pablo Lopez as the National League Cy Young, which I'm not opposed to because I bet him at 50-1. And then Logan Gilbert is the American League Cy Young. I don't necessarily see that with the other guys in contention, but I do understand how you can get Pablo Lopez as a favorite. Using Tom Tango's enhanced model, it's still Pablo Lopez, but it becomes Kevin Gausman in the American League. And then the season score model, it's Pablo Lopez and Alek Manoah on the Blue Jays. So 2 different Blue Jays pitchers on 2 different models. Then Bill James, which hasn't really been predictive since about 2006, but I do it anyways. He has Walker Buehler, then Clayton Kershaw, then Max Scherzer, 1, 2, 3 in the National League. Don't really have any problems with that. And then he has Joe Ryan as the top pitcher in the American League. I understand how you can get that, but that's not happening. Not even going to really consider Joe Ryan as the Cy Young winner this year. I don't know what odds I need. I probably need like 200-1, 300-1 to consider him. He is pitching really well, and he is a contender for Rookie of the Year right now, but no, I don't see him sustaining this being a Cy Young pitcher. Every year somebody asks, could this guy win the Cy Young as a rookie? No, it's not going to be Joe Ryan. Shane Bieber gave up 7 runs over 3 1/3 innings this weekend. 0 strikeouts. That's concerning, more than the 7 earned runs. We should have seen his odds drop a bit after that. I would put him behind Shohei Ohtani, although both the American League and the National League are pretty crowded fields. Bieber would definitely be a guy I'd start dropping and writing action on if I was booking it right now. National League Cy Young race, I'm currently focused on 8 guys at the top: Corbin Burns, Max Scherzer, Walker Buehler, Carlos Rodon, Clayton Kershaw, Pablo Lopez, Merrill Kelly, and Max Fried. Last 2 being somewhat of a surprise. Jacob deGrom also still there in the near future if we get a positive update on his rehab. Going to be a little hard with Max Scherzer so far out in front, one of his teammates, but absolutely Jacob deGrom could come and have some Jacob deGrom elite level starts to start the season and easily push himself back in the picture. Burns and Scherzer deserve to be the front runners, but the gap between them and Walker Buehler, Carlos Rodon, Kershaw, Pablo Lopez, whoever, it's not very large. Merrill Kelly, despite being on a pretty unimpressive team, is right up there too. He's putting up similar numbers to Pablo Lopez. In fact, Tom Tango's model has him second in the Cy Young voting at the moment. I don't think that's realistic in the distribution of actual votes, but it does speak to the quality of his season so far. This is a definite too close to call race, but notable numbers. Corbin Burns leads pitchers in innings pitched and strikeouts. He's the reigning Cy Young, so you're going to have to be better than him to beat him. Corbin Burns' last 3 starts, though, he has a 1.37 ERA, 28 strikeouts versus 4 walks over 19 2/3 innings. Very impressive. Brewers have lost all 3 of those games. Not going to hold that against Corbin Burns, especially after he won last year pitching 168 innings. He's definitely the front runner until he is not. Walker Buehler, he just remains consistent. Week in, week out, every start he does what he's supposed to do. He's clearly the Dodgers' #1 pitcher at this point. He doesn't necessarily get the recognition as some of these other guys, but he deserves it. Buehler made the 100th start of his career Sunday night against the Cubs. He now has the 2nd best win percentage through 100 games, behind only Yankees Hall of Famer Whitey Ford. Also the fewest losses in MLB history through 100 games with only 13. Whitey Ford is second with 17. So, Corbin Burns might be pitching slightly better. Max Scherzer might be pitching slightly better, but there's really not much more Buehler could do in terms of consistency week in, week out. He also, I think he threw the first complete game of the 2022 season, so got a lot going for him. Carlos Rodon, he has the most walks of all the contenders here, but he also has the lowest amount of hits. Of the 6 contenders with sub-1 whip, he's one of them. I think Kershaw, Burns, I'm trying to think who else, the other 4. Merrill Kelly, Pablo Lopez, I think, is a 1. But Rodon, there's really nothing he's doing that puts him out of this race. He's clearly the top 3 or 4 right now. Kershaw leads all NL pitchers with a 0.73 WHIP, also a 32-3 strikeout to walk ratio. Really can't get better than that, and that's why I say it's too close to call. It's so hard to argue that one of these guys' stats are so much better than one of the others when they're all so close. Pablo Lopez might have the best all-around numbers while trailing behind Scherzer and Burns in strikeouts. He's only given up 4 earned runs over 36 innings, a 1.0 ERA, a .89 WHIP. I could definitely see why the different projection systems have him in front. Max Fried, he was my final fringe candidate. He's also pitched 37 innings, so he's up there with Corbin Burns in terms of total innings pitched. He has a 35-2 strikeout to walk ratio and a 0.84 WHIP. Really, you could make an argument that even a guy like him is in the top 3 or 5 of these guys right now. So any way you really wanted to cut it, it wouldn't really argue with you if you said Kershaw is second or third, or Rodon is second or third, or Pablo Lopez. Any of these guys, Corbin Burns likely being keyed in all at the first or second spot. But this is a very close race, and all these guys have serious potential to win. Tonight, we have a pretty full slate for Monday, and then it's a pretty nice slate again on Tuesday. So have a couple bets. I think I like the Diamondbacks tonight, -101. Castellanos versus Eliezer Hernandez. If the Diamondbacks can score some runs and knock Hernandez out, it might be what we need to see Max Meyer officially called up. I like the Reds, +141 with Luis Castillo. I'm a little bit insane. Don't think you should bet the Reds every day or very often, but I am going to take +141 with Luis Castillo, and I'm going to hope that his form during his rehab starts at AAA carries over to the majors, to the Reds. And then I'm going to do a first inning. I think I got one I like tonight, the Cubs Padres. It's Hendricks versus Mackenzie Gore. I've seen this line all the way as high as +130 already this morning, down to +110. It's good at +115 or higher. I personally played it at +130. I will play it probably later today. It's the type of game I expect the price is likely going to go higher as we get closer to game time. So if it pops again, I will definitely bet it. I also bet the Cubs +144. Not some of my favorite bets today, to be honest, with the Cubs and the Reds, both catching dog prices. But as I'm fond of saying, you don't have to watch these games. You just you bet them and try to go about your other business and hope that one of them wins. But I got the Reds +141. I have the Diamondbacks -101, and I have the Cubs +144. If you like betting on bad teams, today is the day for you. I also bet the Padres Cubs first inning yes score +130, good, down to +115. Well, I got you here. I'm going to look at tomorrow's schedule just to see if there's anything particularly good. If you like the Brewers tomorrow, -176 versus Hunter Green. Would not surprise me to see that number steam a lot overnight. Jesus Luzardo -122, likely going to move versus the Diamondbacks. These are on Tuesday. Tigers -105 versus the A's. Skubal versus Frankie Montas. That's an interesting game just from a pitching standpoint. And then Twins +110 versus the Astros. Joe Ryan versus Justin Verlander. Other thing just to keep in mind, I'm looking at these totals for tomorrow. Every single game for Monday and Tuesday, 7.5. The highest total I see is 8.5. The lowest totals I see multiple 6.5s. I see some 6.5s for Tuesday. This is practically unheard of for the last couple of years with totals being so high. So very interesting in this environment to see what sort of prop prices and first inning prices we get going forward, but there should absolutely be a ton of value on some of these first innings with such low totals day in and day out. So keep all that in mind, and I'll be back tomorrow with some more bets. Hopefully get some winners on some of these bad teams today. Thanks for listening.